We have rain coming tomorrow. Actually, we have a tornadic system supposed to work through here tomorrow for a few hours. May get bad, I don't know, but I know it's bringing some rain with it. And my corn is kind of getting to the size that it needs to be side dressed a little bit. It's been very, very dry here lately. And so, with this rain coming, I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity to go ahead and put a little fertilizer down each row to the side of the corn and then pull some dirt over it from both sides and kind of hill up the corn a little bit. And then when the rain comes tomorrow, it'll do the job, it'll do the work for me of working that fertilizer into the ground. I decided to get the 888 fertilizer, which also everybody just calls it triple eight. I could have used triple 13. I just decided to go with a little bit lower. You could use either one. But I'm going to get my gloves on. I'm going to take care of this, get inside of my little gate, and get going on this real quick and get it laid before we get some rain this evening. We're expecting a little bit this evening. Instead of putting zip ties on my last post, I just put some pieces of metal wire. That way I can undo the metal wire and just put that on the ground, and then I pull back the chicken wire and kind of let it roll back on that little area, and then I can just step over it and get into the enclosure to work. It works out good this way. I'll have two pieces of 2-foot chicken wire, so I just leave the bottom one on there and I just take the top one off and step over. Now I need to get busy putting this side dressed fertilizer on here and then raking up the dirt on either side and get this task behind me. One thing to keep in mind, don't let your fertilizer get down in the little hole in the middle of your corn plant. It could burn your plant or even kill it. It's not a good thing to do. And also, if you happen to find a potato plant coming up in the middle of your corn patch, just let it be. I'm trying to avoid taking the dirt from around this, and I'm going to see if maybe I can end up with some potatoes in here. All is well with me lately. I've been a little quiet in the filming department, but all is well. I've planted a lot of things in my yard, like these pole beans, but I mixed my varieties of all the green pole beans that I had, and I just planted a bunch of them, just different varieties. And I'm excited to do that. It's going to be fun. I don't know what all is going to come up. I'm not really going to know which one's doing the best because I'm not going to really be able to tell which varieties are which, I don't think. But I mixed them and I'm having a good time with it. I also created me a little flower bed behind them that's going to be in the corner of my fence area. I'm trying to get as many pollinators as possible into my yard. I've been quiet lately because I just enjoy walking around and looking and hearing the birds and enjoying things. These are my sweet dumpling winter squash that I planted. And I'm watching a lot of things like this just starting to thrive as our soil temperatures raise. I put a lot of watermelons along the edge of my corn patch. This is along the outside edge. I have different varieties of watermelons, and then they roll into some cantaloupes that I planted, and then it rolls into some winter squash that I planted. But what I did was I tucked them all amongst this clover that I had planted as a ground cover. I just left the clover and planted all these squash. I'm trying to actually hide them from the squirrels. I don't have any chicken wire around all this, and so far the squirrels haven't bothered them. But don't tell the squirrels that they're planted over here. Let's keep it to ourselves. I thought I would give you a little recommendation on a tomatillo plant. I planted about 4 or 5 varieties along the other side of my large corn patch. But I'm going to tell you what, the ones that are doing the best are the Hubersmith tomatillo plants. I got these seeds from Landis Valley Seed Company, and they are doing wonderful. They are just outshining all the other tomatillo plants that I planted, like the Mexicali, the purple tomatillos, and everything. They're doing so much better. The plants look healthy and strong, and they're already putting off blooms and little bitty tomatillos. They did good as seedlings, and they're doing good as transplants, and they're growing great. This is the Hubersmith tomatillos from Landis Valley. I highly recommend them. My tomatoes that I planted in my little Fort Knox enclosure, which is what I call it because I have so much chicken wire around everything. They're doing great, but also the winter squash I put in here are doing wonderful. This is the Guatemalan blue banana winter squash here, and they are thriving. They're probably doing better than any winter squash I've planted so far. But behind them, to the back, I have 2 Thelma Sanders winter squash plants, and they're doing good as well. I've grown those before. They put off a lot of winter squash, so I can't wait to get those and try them again this year. I had told you about my Tetsukabuto winter squash that I planted. You have to plant them by a buttercup or a butternut squash. I have them planted by the Burgess buttercup squash, so I did them alternately. I have 3 Tetsukabutos and 3 Burgess buttercup squash. But anyhow, you have to do that for pollination reasons, and it seems to be working. They're all thriving. They're doing great. They've about quadrupled in size since I put the little transplants in the ground, and they look very, very happy. I cannot wait to see how these are going to do. Another place where I planted a mixture of pole beans is along my azalea branch row, and I put the dry pole beans here. So these will just stay where they are until they get to the dried stage, and I can harvest them and have dried beans. Or you could harvest them a little earlier than that and have them in the green stage where you can cook them fresh. So either way, I'm excited to just kind of see what kind of production I'm going to get by mixing all these varieties, and I'll try to keep you posted on that. I planted 3 Howden pumpkins in this bed. So far, they seem happy. They should start to kind of vine out pretty soon. Behind all these daffodils, I planted 5 Cushaw winter squash plants. Some people say Cushaw pumpkins, some say winter squash. But all I know is I got a few last year off of my plants, and they were delicious. And they store for a good while, so I hope I get a lot more this year. In this little bed, I put some tomato transplants that I started from seed. They're the BHN 589 tomatoes, and I got the seeds from Johnny's Seeds. And they seem to be very strong and very healthy, so we're going to see how they'll do. I'm looking forward to seeing how these Gila Pima winter squash do. They're coming along. They're doing good so far. And in the middle of these, my Annie's hyssop plant that I planted last year, some seeds, they overwintered, came back, and they're just thriving already. And it's just April the 9th today. They're already doing great this year. I'm looking forward to harvesting some of that Annie's hyssop this year for tea. I didn't harvest any last year, but I think I'm going to do that this year so that I can have some of the leaves to make tea with. We're going to see. I'm just looking forward to everything this spring. As I walk around my yard and I see things like these carrots that are growing, I've never been able to grow carrots well, but they're thriving right now, so I'm looking forward to canning those. And all of my tomato plants that I've planted along my ramp, so far the squirrels have left them alone, and they're coming along. They're getting bigger every day. I've already kind of trimmed them up one time, so I'm looking forward to seeing how everything does. I'm looking forward to just enjoying the spring. Last year was so hot. We had that bad drought, and it just kind of took the air out of me a little bit after a while last year. It wore me down. I don't know if that's going to happen again. The future, who knows? But I'm thinking that this year things might be better. I'm thinking that. I'm hoping that. I've got cucumbers planted all down here. They're just starting to come up. Some of them are only an inch or two tall, so they're hard to see, but they're coming up. And behind them, my potatoes are getting ready to be harvested. This is April 9th. I'm probably going to start harvesting those potatoes around April 27th. That's the last weekend in April. I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to have some potatoes. My squirrels ate every one in the other bed I have, but these I've protected with the chicken wire, and I'm just hoping that it worked out and that they were able to really produce underground. Won't ever know until you harvest the potatoes, but we're going to see how it goes. I just wanted to let you know that all is well with me. All is well. I'm happy. I'm being very productive lately. I'm getting a lot of things done. But I better get busy because I have a whole nother little corn patch to go do with the fertilizer. I have to do my Onavino corn, and I better get with it. This is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. Y'all have a great day, and God bless. Bye-bye.